moved. We've been in the process of moving stuff slowly,
Mark.
but the movers actually came yesterday, so yeah, and then Dan's mother decided to come visit
All right, Mike.
Friday, so she's been here.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, he said, my mother's coming on Friday. She's going to look for houses here. I'm like, oh, does she know I'm moving? Because now I have to get the townhouse,
Unbelievable.
that room and the bathroom ready for her, and which I didn't intend on doing right during our move. And then get the new house's room ready for her. He wrote a letter, Mr. Doby, to the commissioners. He addressed it to
Yeah.
people who still don't realize.
That's not two of mine, but
Or they think I'm stupid. I don't know what it is, but I still get a lot of stuff that's addressed to Stu.
had like cooks for you.
I think I sent you once or twice.
It was just a thank you. You know, it's nice. He addressed it to, I'm like, cookie.
That's whatever.
Oh well.
I'm like, in another year or two, we'll be back on. I think she was
I now call to order the regular session meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015, at 6:30. Roll call.
Mayor Archie?
Here.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Here.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Here.
Commissioner Banther?
Here.
Commissioner Siebert?
Here.
Tonight's invocation will be given by Reverend Kurt Snare of St. Timothy Lutheran Church. Will everyone stand? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance following.
The Lord be with you. Heavenly Lord, we give you thanks for this day. We give you thanks for this beautiful town in which you've let us live in. We ask that you would help us to be good stewards of all that you have given us. We ask your blessing on our commissioners and upon our mayor and all who do business here in our town. We ask that you would guide us with your wisdom, that you may be glorified. We pray your blessing in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now go to public comments on any item that will not be discussed this evening. Seeing none, we'll go to proclamation, and the first one is Hurricane Awareness Month. This proclamation reads, City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, whereas in August and September of 2004, hurricanes Charlie, Francis, Jean, and Ivan made landfall in the state of Florida, causing major damage to the state. And whereas in 2005, Hurricane Katrina struck Louisiana and Mississippi and caused catastrophic damage and the loss of thousands of lives. And whereas forecasters predict increased tropical storm activity in 2015, as we remain in a period of increased major hurricane activity, and whereas the Tampa Bay region faces tremendous challenges of evacuation, response, and recovery in the coastal metropolitan region, and whereas the City of Tarpon Springs supports the state of Florida's Florida Prepares program for preparedness and mitigation of all hazards, and whereas the key to success of any hurricane evacuation plan is informed citizens. And whereas the 2015 Hurricane Guide was produced and distributed region-wide in May, now therefore I, David Archie, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Tarpon Springs, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2015 as Hurricane Awareness Month. Later we'll have an update from our chief. We have now presentation. Item number 2, it says recognition, Tom Doby's Police Department. I'm not sure if that's for the dog or not.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. What I'm about to say obviously comes from the heart. Mr. Dobies, who refers to himself as our friendly undertaker, has been a true friend to law enforcement. If it's not donating money for a gym or a memorial or a dog in Newport Richey that was named after our officer that was tragically killed in the line of duty, Mr. Dobies has always stepped up for law enforcement throughout this area, but especially to Tarpon Springs PD. And I know he's done stuff for other departments, the fire department and the city, but really he's a true friend of law enforcement, and we really wanted to recognize him for some of the things he did for us and the Kondak family during the tragic killing of Officer Charlie Kondak. So Tom, can you come down, please? I want to read this plaque, and it's from the Tarpon Springs Police Department. It says, in appreciation of Thomas B. Dobies Funeral Home, presented in recognition of your generosity and support given to the Tarpon Springs Police Department following the line-of-duty death of Officer Charles R. Kondak, Jr. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Chief Robert Cochin, Tarpon Springs Police Department.
The best.
Thank you.
The best.
Mayor, if I would ask, please, can you come up and we could take a picture, please, with Mr. Dobies? Thank you.
Not the mayor.
Yes, the mayor.
I taught him how to read in school. I taught him how to tie his bow tie. If it hadn't been for me, where would you have been today?
That's exactly what I was saying.
Oh, come on.
He want to get it out picture there,
That's
Tom.
good.
You
I'm
know?
laughing.
Okay.
As you can see, I'm very emotional tonight because of Officer passing and what he sacrificed for our community and all police officers and firefighters. I love every firefighter and police officer. Of course, now, I have a wife now, so, I mean, if they're female, I don't love them. You know, I like them a lot. But I'm trying not to cry, so I apologize to you. But Chief Cochin and the entire Tarpon Springs Police Department, when we were out there at the funeral, we had about 4,000 people over at the church. And I saw the police officers that were crying. You know, it's a very emotional. And the funeral procession that we had coming through town and the cooperation of all the police and fire departments, how it was honored. There's just not enough we can do to honor this man. And he is a true hero in this community and will remain that. But I thank the city of Tarpon Springs for allowing me to be a participant. I'm having a hard time talking. Get me some water, Michelle. But anyway, I'm going to take it real short, and I'm going to thank you all very much and thank the city of Tarpon Springs, the police department, and this will hang in the funeral home in honor of Charlie K. Thank you all.
Well, you know, and I'd like to just take the time to thank Tom. You know, we joke a lot about some things, and he likes to joke about how he taught me to read, and actually almost messed up my life, you know, by his efforts of teaching me to read. It took a long time for me to overcome that. I almost didn't, so he did have a profound impact on me because it took me a long time to learn how to read because of you, Tom. But seriously, Tom does a lot, not only for the police department, but for all the Tarpon. He's always giving of himself. You know, I know all of us wish he wouldn't try to be so funny, but that's just the price that we have to pay for him, you know, donating and helping. But Tom, truly, I tell you, I really appreciate all that you do. I know anytime the city might need you or any organization, we know that you're going to be there, you know. So I just say to you, thank you. Any public comments on this item? Commission comments? We'll now go to another item as far as recognition. I'm going to ask if Chief Butcher and Deputy Scott Young would come forward. I know Chief has something to say, and we have a plaque here. For our Deputy Fire Chief, And this reads, awarded to Scott Young, Deputy Fire Chief, for successfully completing the process to receive the professional designation of Fire Chief Officer by the Commission of Professional Credentialing, May 5th, 2015, Center for Public Safety Excellence Incorporated. We have this. I can get this to you now. I know the chief has some things to say, and we know this is a very prestigious honor, and we're definitely glad that you not only achieved that, but that you work for our fire department, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners and all you friends in the room. The designation of Chief Fire Officer is a very prestigious milestone in any fire officer's career. In fact, there's only 1,056 CFOs worldwide, so this is not something to be taken lightly. This designation does not come about just by participating. In other words, it's not a plaque you get for just showing up every day and being a good student or a good employee. This goes well above that. The designation only comes after the individual successfully meets the organization's stringent criteria. And this process includes the applicant's education, experience, professional development, technical competencies, and contributions to the profession and the community. In addition, all applicants are required to identify future professional development plan. In other words, they have to be a go-getter. You have to be a forward thinker. You have to be somebody who, and I hate this cliche, but it's the only one that fits, thinks outside the box. Chief Young exemplifies all of these things. He's gone out on his own time, at nights and weekends, and he's gone to many, many classes. He's gone above and beyond to further his education, and this CFO, Chief Fire Officer designation, is just another example of how hard he's working to improve himself, and by improving himself, he's making our department and our city that much better. So it is my honor to congratulate and thank you for all your work you've done, Chief.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. It's a little unexpected. I thought I was just coming for a hurricane presentation tonight. So, but thank you for the city, for the support. Thank you, Chief, for your recognition and support. And most of all, thanks for the guys for supporting me through the years. And but the most important person to thank is my wife. She put up with me all these years, missing home and stuff, going to school and classes and everything else. So without her, this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you. But thank you, everybody, for this. This is a great honor. Thank you. Thank you.
And he's smart enough to recognize his wife, most importantly last.
Congratulations, Scott.
I know the chief went back, but we're gonna go to item number 4, and it's something that we know is necessary. We hate to talk about hurricane season, but it's upon us. So we're gonna have a update as far as that, and our chief, I guess he's gonna give it.
All right. Think I should throw you under the bus and let you do it?
Nope, you're good.
Oh, okay. I will say welcome to hurricane season 2015. We'll get to all the stats, and I'll try to keep this as brief as possible for several reasons. And one is, of course, it's been 11 years since the state has had any kind of direct impact of any storm. But that really doesn't give us an excuse to just glaze over and buzz through all the information that we need to give. while we're waiting, I do want to say one thing. Our EOC, Emergency Operations Center, in our building is now in the middle of undergoing some technical upgrades. In other words, we're redoing some of our bells and whistles, electronics, the gizmos and gadgets and the things, the gadgetry we use to, the tools that we use to not only help us predict, but help us plan, help us react to the different storms and the different events as they come and go. Okay. Now, like I said, it's been 10 years, over 10 years now since we've had anything, and hurricane apathy is a problem. People think, I know Anita's not here, but there's was it St. Nicholas or St. Michael or somebody that protects Tarpon Springs, and let's hope that keeps happening. But hurricane apathy is a problem. See, the first time I did this teaching a class, and you had to stretch it. So we're making it faster. Preparing your home, a lot of the items you see up there on the bullet point are not only things you should just think about for hurricane season, but it's not a bad idea to look at those points and keep them on your mind year-round. Things like that, except for the sandbags. Now, let me explain go tapeless. Whenever you see in the news, you'll see people take duct tape and put a big X on their window with duct tape. All that does is that X says, I really don't understand why I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Duct tape does not do anything but hold the broken glass together. If you want to use it to make your mess later to clean up, that's fine. But going tape or not putting duct tape on your window is, all you're doing is wasting your time. If you want to protect your windows, you put shutters or blinds up. Sandbags are another item that a lot of people want to use and they insist on, and we actually have provisions to supply sandbags. They will work when properly put in. What is properly installed? Properly installed means if you just take a bunch of sandbags and pile them up on each other, when the water rises, it's just going to go through. If you want to have it properly, you have to use visqueen or some sort of plastic material to line the inside of the sandbags like you do a swimming pool. That'll keep the water out. One too many. Okay, preparing your yard kind of goes along the same process of things that you might want to do anyway. There's a lot of common sense issues here. Keeping your trees and your shrubbery cut back, you want to do that. If you have big branches that are going over the top of your house, probably not a good thing. You might want to cut those back just for the fact that on a wind event, they may fall down and crush your house. You just kind of apply common sense. What you want to keep in mind, too, is what's in your yard that the wind can pick up, bless you, that the wind can pick up and move and throw. It becomes a missile. It becomes a weapon. So things like yard furniture and yard toys and bird baths and bird feeders and grills and things like that are things that you may want to get out, put inside, put away. And some of your pool stuff, just throw it inside the pool. That's not a bad idea. And don't drain your pool down, but you can superchlorinate it for later, and it'll be okay for that. For your vehicle, again, things you may want to do all the time. This is, well, except for maybe the food in your vehicle, but in my daughter's car, she always has food, so I guess that applies for them. A lot of the stuff that you see listed now, I will say again that all this program and this thing will be accessible online. It will be running through our channels, our local TV channel and whatnot, so you will have access to all this information, and also, of course, you can contact myself, Chief Young, or anyone else at our department. Keeping your vehicle ready, this again is things that you may want to do on a daily basis, not just hurricane season. A lot of these things are starting to move into daily life. If you own a business, it's called a go box, and the go box is another thing that you may want to keep with you all the time as far as the ability to put your important papers, laptops, hard drives, any materials that you need to back up, take it with you so when you leave you're okay. Also, these days cell phones will automatically load up into some sort of a central backup, a mainframe, if you will, or something like that. Used to be if you lost your cell phone and all your contacts were in it, and you got a new phone, you had to go out and get a whole bunch of new friends because you lost all your old numbers. Well, these days now you can actually, as soon as you get your new phone, it'll automatically upload all your numbers, so it's not as big of an issue as it once was. Pinellas County last year started this program called First Call, and it's similar to reverse 911, where the county will actually call you and let you know that there's an evacuation event occurring, or you know, whatever the information is coming from Pinellas County Emergency Management. And this is done through texting, through emails, and every member can join in on, and let me show you the rate. You can get online through that way. But this information, there's no limit. Like if you have 3 or 4 different texts or phones, cell phones in your home, you can register each one of those. You can register as many email addresses as you have. And this is a great process because this will let you know. This is like taking the news media with you at all times. So they can call you. You'll be notified wherever you are that there's an event coming that may involve evacuation or some sort of an activity that you need to know about within Pinellas County. And these things, this information is confidential. If you give somebody your cell phone number or your email address, this isn't something that they're going to farm out to different vendors and things like that. And as always, we want you to know your evacuation zone. Everybody has different methods. It's on your trim notice when you get your tax notice. It's right on there, level A, B, C, D, E, or none. You can call an automated phone line down at the county. We have big foam board maps that actually has every single lot in the city. You can see what color code it is, and it'll tell you what zone you are in by use of that map. And then now there's another thing called an interactive evacuation map. And what this does is you can go online on this website, and again, like I said, all this stuff will be accessible online and running in the loop through our TV channel. You go on this website, you put in your address. Not only does it tell you the route to the nearest shelter, but what level evacuation we are and any of the other pertinent information. Pet shelters. Pinellas County has 3 pet shelters. The nearest one here is Dunedin. You have to pre-register, Chris. You have to pre-register your pet, and when you take your pet down there, you have to have all of the documentation that your pet is current on all of their vaccinations and whatnot. You have to have proper kenneling, portable kennel, and you have to bring the food and water necessary for that particular animal. They are limiting it to dogs and cats only. They're not taking any of the snakes and some of the exotic pets at this time. I know that's something that they're working on, and birds as well. And now the shelter situation. Last year, if you remember, the middle school was undergoing some renovation work, so it was out of service. I'm happy to say we have our shelter back. Middle school is ready to go. Capacity is 2,617, which represents a little more than 10% of our population, which is the standard for any sheltering for the city. Also, keep in mind that sheltering should be your last resort. When a storm's coming, have a plan, have something with neighbors, friends from a different part of the state, even if it's 1 or 2 counties away. Don't rely on going to the middle school shelter, because I can tell you that when you are in a shelter and there is a hurricane event there, it's not fun, it's not comfortable. There's no electricity, so you're not going to have air conditioning. You're going to be sleeping on a gymnasium floor. I don't know if anybody's ever done that, but that's not a lot of fun. It's not very comfortable. So try to have, an alternate plan in place to where you're going to go visit family or something on the other side of the state, and have it reversible. Have them come stay with you when the storm's on the other side of the state. Also, the closest pet shelter is in Dunedin. And for the city, to quickly review, because I think everybody's still here from before, the city has a plan in place to shut down the water and sewer system on the west side of town should there be a mandatory A-B level evacuation, which would basically take in the entire west side of town. And what that does is it protects the infrastructure of our water and sewer system. By shutting it down during a storm, if anything gets damaged during the storm, when they reactivate or turn it back on, they could find and take care of any issues or damage that was caused by the storm prior to letting it run and just finding it later, and then finding out that they have to go through the boil water notices and extensive repairs, and that gets very costly. This process has been done in several places, and I hope we never have to do it, but it is very effective as far as protecting our own infrastructure. This year's hurricane Atlantic season, the outlook, weather guys and a good friend of mine is a weatherman for ABC. Basically, they get paid to guess. And they said, remember that this is just a guesstimate. This is based on a lot of science and a lot of guessing. And the fact that the actual number is lower than normal is not that comforting, because it only takes one storm to create a bad season for anybody if you're in the middle of it. I will say one thing that's different this year than the last couple is the Gulf water is a lot warmer a lot earlier this year, which would bring science would tell us that the storm is more likely to come up the Gulf, which kind of puts us in a bad place for that one bad storm for us. So we do need to keep an eye. Another thing that the technology has also gotten to the point now where there shouldn't be any surprises. We should know far enough in advance to be able to take our actions as necessary early on enough. But when you get these predictions, just remember that's what they are. They're predictions. And there's your list of storms we've already had on it. It's always fun to see if any of those first names correlate with any of our commission. And there's a lot, like I said, we talked about technology, social media is out there. All of the different news outlets get their information from the same place, from the National Weather Service and NOAA. We get ours from the same place. We actually get our information at the same time as the news media. We're tied into that same chain of information. So absolutely keep your eye on any news media outlet as it comes along. They're all going to give you proper information at that point. And I love this slide because it's always appropriate, and I hope I get to use it again next year, because that would indicate that we've had a nice, peaceful year, and let's hope again for another one. And I could use that same slide again next year. And with that, I'll take any questions.
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you for your thoroughness, and always thank you for being prepared and helping us to get prepared. All of us hope and pray that we don't have anything, but it's best to be prepared. So I just want to thank you for this update. So. Any questions?
Anything to add?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any public comments on this item?
What's that? Oh. That'll come later in the season. Peter Delax, 514 Ashland Avenue. I just wanted to point out one thing on the slides. You have Bright House 615. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but they bumped us off of that. I think we're on 641 now. Now, what I want to talk about, I know is not necessarily in your control, but what concerns me is the location of our shelter. I know it probably was originally put in place years ago when they built the middle school, and it was probably the most solid building there. But as the chief pointed out, the west part of town is going to get the water shut off. So unless you can specifically isolate the middle school, they're going to be in that zone. But more importantly, I'm sure everybody here has been at least once to Howard Park. If we get a 5 to 10 foot storm surge, it's coming right through the park, right up Sunset Drive, right up into the middle school. So either one, you'll have people trapped there for a while, or two, you'll have people stranded trying to get there. And what I would like to see, and I know a lot of this is county set up, and you've got emergency management procedures and all that stuff, I'm aware of that, but we maybe should start beginning a dialogue with those that would be in a position to maybe look at some alternatives of really trying to find a shelter further east. I know St. Timothy's and then the Presbyterian Church are nearby, maybe further out on Tarpon Ave, East Lake Road, where there's that big church on the south side that used to be a polling station. I'm not sure if it still is. Or if at some point we have to look at maybe some private facilities that maybe are available that, you know, we would be able to use in those circumstances. But to rely just on the middle school where it's in a zone that quite potentially would flood if we had that type of situation, and as the chief pointed out, the water situation, it's just something maybe we should start looking at. And otherwise, as the chief recommends, pay attention to the warnings as they come, prepare yourself, and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to say anything?
Did you want me to respond?
If you want to, that's up to you.
Real quickly, the shelters, and he's right, the shelters are not in our control. The Red Cross shelters, they're certified by Pinellas County Emergency Management as well as the state of Florida, the Florida Department of Emergency Management. And each facility has to go through an intensive, they've got to meet a lot of codes to do that. And the elevation is one of them, and it is a consideration, and it has to meet it in order to be that shelter. So the school did meet all requirements to be a shelter. And we are actively pursuing to try to get other facilities to come up to that standard. There's some construction issues and things like that that have to be taken into consideration. So we are actively pursuing some of that. And there are lots of other shelters. Being a resident of Tarpon, personally, if I'm living on 19, I'm not going to go west. I'm going to go to East Lake or another shelter or Palm Harbor. I think Palm Harbor. There's lots of shelters. And also keep in mind that the special needs shelter, people who are in need of electricity and water, there's a special needs shelter, and that's in Dunedin as well.
Thank you for the information. If there are no other comments, then we'll go to item number 5, RO facility update, public services. Mr. Robertson.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Bob Robertson, Public Services Program Manager, and I'm here tonight to provide a very brief update on the status of the Alternative Water Supply Project, the RO plant. We are inching closer to our goal of reaching substantial completion by June 30th. As I stated last month, all the major structures are built and the equipment's installed at the RO plant. Membrane filter elements are being loaded this week into the membranes, into the RO system itself to be tested. All the wells are drilled, as I said before. The plant is connected to 11 of the 15 raw water supply wells now. The remaining 4 wells will be connected to the system once we complete the permitting review process with the FDOT, as I mentioned last time, for a pipeline crossing. And based on FDOT's review clock, I expect we'll be getting that permit this month. Next, I'm very pleased to report that last week we were able to successfully test the new deep injection well at a very high flow rate. City crews put in an extra effort to set up some temporary piping so that we could accomplish this testing goal, and I'm very proud of our team for doing that. We tested the well by pumping more than 2 million gallons of water into the well for an uninterrupted 12-hour period at a rate of almost 3,000 gallons per minute, which is well above what the well is designed, pardon the pun, but well above what it's designed to do. So it did what we were expecting. Our next step is to finalize the wellhead construction and to get formal approval from DEP to operate that well for a regular process. At my last update, I mentioned that we are waiting for an approval of a permit from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for the construction of a final piece of subsurface piping over by Duke. That status remains unchanged, unfortunately, but as I said last month, we are very fortunate to have that deep injection well nearly ready as our primary discharge option, so we're okay there. Next, the extension of L&R Industrial Boulevard, which is the roadway in front of the RO plant, is another important project element since all the major piping that will connect the RO plant runs through that corridor. About 95% of that pipeline work is complete, and about 50% of the roadway work is complete there. A small portion of the pipeline work is scheduled this week to be installed on Anclote Road, which is a county road just south of the Eleanor Industrial intersection. And that should happen by the end of this week. And finally, as I mentioned last month, our primary target is to reach substantial completion by June 30th, which is the target date for full grant funding from the SWIFT-MUD, and we are still on track to meet that goal. Our contractors have shown a very high level of commitment to reaching this substantial completion goal, including working late hours and weekend work, and they've really been extraordinary. Our plan for the period following June 30th remains unchanged from my last update to you. We'll be working to finalize punch list items with the contractor at the facility, complete the connection of those 4 remaining wells, complete that subsurface construction at Duke while waiting for that Army Corps permit, complete some training and optimization of RO system operations. And as I said last time, we will be making water intermittently through the summer as we learn, test, and optimize the operation of the plant. And we still expect to be fully online by the end of the summer. And I thank you for your time, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions, but I thank you again for
Thanks,
the
sir.
update, and we're happy to know that we're still on target. Anybody have any? Commissioner Stevens?
Thank you. Could the Army Corps permit not make us meet our deadline, or is that
Thankfully,
something
because
that
of
you
the
could be concerned about?
right, and thank you for your question. Thankfully, as I mentioned, that we have the deep injection well. That's going to be our primary point of discharge for the RO concentrate. The Army Corps is holding up what will be our secondary backup or our secondary discharge for concentrate. So to answer your question, no, it's not holding us up, thankfully.
Thank you. Any public comments on this item? Thank you again, sir. Item number 6, proposed decorative bike rack project, public art.
Thanks, Denise. Lynn Pearson, 1418 Oleander Drive. I'm here speaking as chairman of the Tarpon Springs Public Art Committee. I'd like to say good evening to Mayor Archie, Vice Mayor Larson, the commissioners and chief, and thank you for having us here tonight for this update. I'd like to begin first to acknowledge the members of our committee who are able to be here this evening, and that includes new member Sherry Orr, Suzanne Murphy, Dr. Kathy Monahan, of course, and Denise Manning are very able and indispensable. Well, you name it, she does it for us. What we will be doing is, okay, good. As a committee, as you know, we have been responsible to come up with some ideas and plans for public art in Tarpon Springs. Our first successful piece was our mermaid, Amma of Tarpon Springs at Craig Park. And we have been very busily discussing other options and asking for input from various people, including Mr. Licouris. And we had a criteria of sorts that we wanted to consider in whatever direction we wanted to propose. And that includes striving to create visual connections between individual city districts, such as downtown, the Sponge Docks, Craig Park, North Safford Fitness Park, and others. Tarpon Springs itself as a city is striving to be a more walkable community and to be a city whose residents are more physically fit. In fact, we just completed, I think, a very successful project regarding that, as I recall. What we are considering is a decorative bicycle rack project, which would complement these initiatives and support the Public Art Committee's mission to enrich community through art and our surroundings. Decorative bike racks are particularly wonderful because they can just expand the imagination in any way you want to go. They are artistically designed by artists, and they would be installed in key locations within the city. As works of art, the decorative bike racks appeal to bike riders and non-riders alike. They are eye-catching, and if strategically placed, bike racks invite bikers to stop for lunch, a cool drink, or to shop, increasing business to local restaurants and merchants. Public art, by its very nature, attracts people as well and gets them talking, and these certainly would do that. There are several what we call spin-offs to this concept that we think would be particularly beneficial to the community. City events could partner with the bike rack projects, decorated bike parades or fitness challenges, for example. There could be a borrow a bike program adopted by a local organization or organizations. Bikes would be available at each bike rack location for loan or rent. Installation would include many locations throughout downtown. I've already mentioned a few, but we could look at the trail in Pinellas Avenue, around the library, Craig Park, the Sponge Docks, the Splash Park, Fitness Park and Dog Park, Mirrors Crossing, maybe even City Hall. Installation sites would be approved by the City Public Works Department, the City Manager, and of course the Board of Commissioners. Design ideas would be meant to complement the unique characteristics of the locations in which they are placed. That might include historic themes for downtown, Greek or nautical designs at the Sponge Docks, etc. The ideas are endless. Project specifications would include input from Public Works, which would be required as the call to artists is written. For bike rack construction and installation, artists will be required to submit drawings and other specifications, including installation specs. Specs would be submitted to the Public Works for approval before design selection. The project consists of 10 uniquely decorative bicycle racks for the fiscal year 2015 and 2016. The total budget would be $50,000, and this would include the artist fees, fabrication, installation, and 10% set aside for maintenance and repairs. Our plan of action is as follows. Beginning in July, we will be researching various projects of this sort in cities and communities around the country. Checking out preliminary specs, including bike rack life expectancy, materials, coatings, installation, safety concerns, and so forth. We would then move on to meeting with the Public Works and City Manager to approve installation sites and compile final specifications and obtain approval from the Board of Commissioners. Come September, we would be writing a call to artists, obtaining approval for procurement and the city attorney if necessary, and publish the call to artists. October, organize a jury selection group. November, select artists and designs, fabricators, write the purchase orders, and so forth. And by March 2016, begin installation. Urban furnishings are a popular form of public art. And certainly we are familiar with them in this area of Tampa Bay. Useful and artistic decorative bike racks allow for several unique artworks to be created at one time and linking the whole of the town together and providing, I think, great interest to our visitors as well as to our citizens. Locations and specifications will be approved by Public Works, the City Manager, and the Board of Commissioners, as I mentioned earlier. And last but not least, this bike rack project is really our first functional art endeavor as a committee, culminating, we hope, in honor of National Bike Month in May of 2016. In closing, I would like to thank Denise Manning for her extensive work in putting this PowerPoint together, and also for Suzanne Murphy, who filled in with her leadership skills while I was out of town, and the committee for its thoughtful input. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions or comments from you.
I don't really have any questions. I don't know if my colleagues do, but it seems like a very exciting project. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the designs and how they fit in with the city of Tarpon. So Commissioner Tarpon?
Thank you. I also want to thank you for the presentation and for your efforts. It's nice to see some of the fruits of your labor come to fruition with the Craig Park installation, and now something like this that we can look forward to. And I like the term that I think you deemed it, which is functional art, which I think will be nice to enhance the city with. I guess the next potential presentation to this board will be sometime in August, and at that point move forward to site selection. So
Terrific.
Look forward to seeing what you bring back.
Thank you very much. We're looking forward to it as well. Any other questions or comments?
Vice Smith?
Thank you. I really don't have any questions. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the Public Art Committee for their work. I think the Mermaid at Craig Park is fantastic, and I think what we're talking about this evening in terms of, as Commissioner Tarpon said, functional art, I think this is just fantastic. I like the idea of trying to incorporate some kind of event, whether it be a bike ride from one artistic bike rack to another, or whatever it may be. I think that's an interesting opportunity. I'm just very excited about this, and I really appreciate the work of our Public Art Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mather?
Just, I appreciate it as well, and I look forward to how you incorporate, like I saw in their aspects of Tarpon Springs, into just, you see the plain bike racks along the trail, and it's nice to have them there, but it's always nice to have it with a piece of local flair that kind of draws them in. Like you said, it's an economic tool to help the businesses. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to the Art Committee, and I'm excited about this project as well, and looking forward to your next step.
Thank you.
Any public comments on this item?
Todd Eckhouse, 103 South Spring Boulevard, Tarpon Springs. I've noticed for the last, several months, maybe longer, decorated bicycles, riding around town and being parked and interspersed throughout the town. I've heard that that's been maybe a legal issue or something I haven't seen them lately, but I like the fact that that's going on. I don't think I'm ever going to ride a bike that's got 19,000 roses intertwined in the spokes and everything, but I like the fact that it's there, and I think it's terrific that these folks are putting together these bike racks. The more of that kind of thing that Tarpon can do, the more I think we'll distinguish ourselves in the county.
Thank you.
This one, right? Anthony Sarukas, 2904 Wendover Terrace, Palm Harbor. I don't live in Tarpon, but I have businesses and property here. I've worked with the Public Art Committee over the past couple of meetings on a separate project, and this came up, and it's awesome. We don't have a bike rack anywhere near any of the properties that we own in Tarpon, not one. And any bike racks would be awesome. These are great, and they've done a whole lot of hard work trying to get it together, and I totally support it, even though I'm not a resident of the city. I do anything that I can to help out. I think that it's awesome. And the decorated bikes are pretty cool, too.
If there are no other public comments, then we'll go to item number 7, budget preparation overview, fiscal year 2016. And I think Mr. Herron is going to lead it.
Good evening, Ron Herring, Finance Director. And as you probably know, you got one of these small books in your mail probably last week. We've started the fiscal year 2016 budget process. And as soon as I get my slides up, but really the process started in February. The department started keying in their budgets in February and going into March. Just waiting for some of the slides to come up here, but. I'll just go for my slide. The departments have been entering them since February, and they had until March to key in their budgets. From March until about the middle of April, finance started going in, tweak some things. We projected revenues. We looked at all the expenditures and made sure everything was correct and tried to clean it up. And then in May, the city manager started meeting with department heads, and he had meetings about the first and second week of May to go over their budgets, go through them, make any cuts and additions or whatever. The city manager had approximately about $530,000 worth of budget cuts so far, mostly in the general fund. The Budget Advisory Committee has been meeting. They had 2 separate meetings, and they've been going over all the departments with all their budgets, going through them, asking questions, seeing where they could be cuts. A lot of good questions. There we are. Right now, as this budget book sits right now, all funds are in balance. That's all funds of the city. We've gone through, we've balanced them, we've projected the revenues. General fund all the way through water and sewer, we've gone through everything. And like I said, right now, all funds are in balance. And that's including the general fund. We've got the general fund balance, and the only thing we're using $353,015 of unassigned fund balance to balance the general fund balance. And to get there, we had some assumptions. In the revenues, we had property taxes. What's in the book right now is we're using a millage rate, the current millage rate of 5.45. We've got a 5% increase in the taxable value, and we've gotten that from the property appraiser. They've given us a range, or early estimates, between 5 and 6%, but we've got 5% in there, the increase in the taxable value. So like I say, those are early estimates. On July 1st, they give us the certified estimate. But they were pretty good with those estimates. Those were from Pam DeVol down at the property appraiser. Other revenues, we go in, we look at historically how the revenues have been coming in the last 3 years, and we look at the seasonality of them to see if if they're more water and sewer ones might be higher revenues in the summer. So we try to look at it from a couple of perspectives. Expenditures, some of the bigger ones, property liability insurance, we took the current premium plus 5%. Dental insurance, current premium plus 5%. Life insurance, current premium plus 10%. Workers' compensation, current premium plus 10%. Health insurance, current premium plus 10%. And we have also got pay increases in this budget book that you have with you. Police and fire are based on the union contracts that were approved last year. And we have some funding for the general employees, funding at 3% in this budget book here. Retirement benefits are at the actually determined rates. That's for police and fire. They're defined benefit plans, so they're at what the actuary says we should have in there. The general employees pension is still at the 8.7%. It's been for 10, 15 years now. And like I say, we just wanted to get you the budget book to show you where we're at here. We've been working on it about 4 months now. This is the book. All the funds are balanced. Another thing I was sort of excited about, we did this little executive summary thing. I think before you've always had something with the this big book with all the detail. But we thought this might help give you more of an executive summary. I don't know if you've been able to go through it or anything. But with that, I'm open for any questions.
Well, I just thank you for the update. The only question I have, just you know it right off the top, or you can give it to me. I see we're using 353.15 to balance as far as the general fund.
Yes.
53,000. What's the total for the general fund?
Unassigned fund balance currently?
No, what's the total for the general fund itself? Not the balance of what's the unassigned, but just what is the total?
Total balance
I
of the
didn't
general
look at that
fund?
stuff. I know we're using 3, I'm just trying to see what the percentage.
21,784,000.
21,784.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Tarpon.
Thank you. Mr. Herring, thanks for the brief presentation. It's nice to be updated throughout the year going into the budget season. Not that you have the answer to these questions off the top of your head, but at this point last year, what was being proposed in terms of funds to be utilized out of the unassigned fund balance?
If I remember right, we were up close to, we were over $1 million, and I know they worked on it during the year, and they were gradually bringing that down, working on the budget. And, you know, I would guess 1.2, 1.3, but it was
what was proposed.
at about this time last year.
And then what? And then my next question, as a follow-up to that, is what we actually used.
In the budget book, it was 399,000.
That's what we actually used.
Yeah, but there was some other money from reserve. They used like the nursing home a reserve for a lot of capital stuff, 702,000. Another 620,000 of another reserve called land was used. Well, they haven't done the work yet, but for this building here. They also had to go into reserve on the first budget resolution to cover a few items, and some were the police and fire pay increases, and the total that's being used right now in this current year is 933,000. So it went from the 399,000 to the 933,000 that we're currently using in the 2015 budget.
Say that one more time. What the last part of what you said? We went from 353 to 900.
Well, what was actually in the budget book last year that was approved in September was the 399,000.
Right.
But then they used more money on the first budget resolution in December. There was the first budget resolution passed, and they used another 400,000 or 500,000 to bring it up to 933,000.
But the majority of that additional above and beyond the 393 were, like you mentioned, for.
I think that the police and fire union contracts are being worked on, and I think they just got ratified.
I think, Ron, I think what they're more talking about, I think you're going into all of that
Too much detail?
accounting stuff you do. I think they're talking about that bottom line of what, where the reserve was, what we projected to use, what we used actually, and then not those other accounts that, you say the nursing home fund was another reserve, but that's not really, I don't think, the reserve they're talking about. So that money, I think they're just talking about mainly the unassigned fund balance and the effect going forward with that.
Okay.
So from that chart that we gave them, and I will say this estimate that we have right now, and again, we're early into, we've been doing it a long time, but we're still early in the budget where we are now. I think if you look at your projection from what I gave you last year, I think we projected this year we're going to have to use between 300 and 400,000, somewhere in there, give or take. From those charts we gave them where we projected what the years were going out as, right now with this, we're within it. Again, we're early. We started with the Budget Advisory Committee early going through departments and stuff. That's why some of this information we gave to them, and we want to make sure you had it, because we gave it the last meeting to update your process, because we're really doing a few different things. We're, again, doing something, Commissioner Banther said about getting some information earlier than you usually see it. This is some of this information you usually probably see in July or stuff. So we've been moving that process up. So you're seeing a lot of things early, so there's still some room to go, and there's still some things to do with them and stuff. But
and I can appreciate that, and that's why I asked the question as a comparison from last year where we were and what you were able to bring the budget down to. I mean, I know we say year after year that we want to get away from our dependence on the unassigned fund balance, and that figure that we've been utilizing has clearly gone down. But here we are in a, for now at least, an economy that seems pretty good as far as on a local level and whatnot, and our tax base is continuing to increase. And I know that our expenses increase year after year in terms of insurance and things like that. But at this point, having weathered the storm for 4, 5, 6, 7 years now, I feel like we really need to try and work on our dependence on the unassigned fund balance and really bring that figure down to a 0 at this point.
and remember, you got the formula last year of what I proposed and the time frame I proposed that we'd be doing. And
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
what-
you're getting
We're
there.
kind of saying we're on course with this right now.
Right. Well,
In fact, we're ahead of schedule because we're ahead of ourselves on what we thought we were going to use this year if those projection keeps going for the unassigned balance. So we're actually going to be a little better off than we thought if those things go through the rest of the year.
Ron, is the 5 to 6% increase in taxable value, is that countywide, or is that also broken out to?
No, that's for the city of Tarpon Springs.
For the city of Tarpon Springs?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Stephen. You have a question?
No, thank you. Most of my questions were answered, and one of my questions was, when would the certified estimate be in? And you said July 1st.
July 1st.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Bath?
Yes, thank you. And I do appreciate the more frequent updates. It helps in the whole process and not to get sticker shock during budget season. I'm sure it makes your job easier in the long run as well. So just to confirm, so the number of 353, that is less than reported this time last year, correct?
Yes.
We were up near about $1 million, correct?
Yes, I believe we're a little over that.
And it was the sale of the nursing home that severely augmented that 1 million.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just say, I mean, I know everyone's heard this like a million times from me, but we're down to about $8 million or so, give or take, in the unassigned fund balance, right?
We're at 8.8 million.
8.8. Well, we have to keep somewhere between 4 and 5 million in there per charter or state law. I forget which one it is.
20%.
I think it's charter, 20% per charter. So we really have about half that to work with. So I think it is crucial that we do, and we are headed in that right direction. I'm just a little concerned that maybe because of that one shot of the nursing home sale, we had this good year. I'll have to see what it's like this time next year. But we have to get to zero reliance on that, because we have to preserve what we have left in there for the next storm we're going to face, whether that's an actual storm or another economic downturn. So I just think it's crucial as we go through budget season that we are mindful of that. But the good news is that we're headed in the right direction. And that's a great tribute to your office and to staff as well. And you talked about the budget cuts that we said, Mark, we're around $500,000 with the budget cuts so far. And I'm all for budget cuts, obviously, because we're still using our savings account. But at the same time, we have to be careful where we cut, because I don't think, at least in the part where services to citizens, which is the majority of this building here, cannot be cut much more. So that as well. But we're headed in the right direction. But just the whole reserve fund's always been kind of a project of mine. Lastly, is the increase in the insurance 10%? Is that a figure we have, or is that kind of just an annual guesstimate?
It's all those you see are estimates, just so it could go a lot lower. I don't think it's going to go higher, but it could go lower. So right now, it's just the best estimate. We're probably not going to know that one till middle or late July. The only reason we went a little high, we've had some, unfortunately, employees with major illnesses and major claims in the past year or two that may catch us this year. That's the only reason we went up to 10 to see and stuff. But we're still a couple months away from being set in stone. That's why, when it gets more time where we usually talk about this stuff with you, we start amending numbers. And for instance, that goes down to, I think last time we estimated it went down like 6 or 7%. That money comes out, obviously that money will come off the use from reserve. So all that money would come off there as we get closer every month and start tying these things down. Obviously, we're hoping those numbers come down, and when those numbers come down, then that reserve comes down. But they're just to plug in there, like the raises. It may say 3% for general employees. I haven't come up with what I'm going to propose to you, what range, how to do the raises. We just wanted a dollar figure in there, what 3% represented, to have it. So, in past budgets we've had no raises in there. So we get the, like you say, July and August in the strike. Well, you need $200,000 for city raises, and that's nowhere. So we want to put a group group of money in there, and then we still have time to come back with you and define how that money looks and where it goes, so.
And I understand, there's an element of that you over budget to protect yourself in case to pull back, but I'm not in the insurance business, but I've always thought we pay a lot for our health insurance. I realize it's a good plan, but it's not the best plan. And, I mean, I know we have done the whole bidding process for that, and then it's the best we have, but I think we need to constantly be, reviewing it, making sure that, especially if we're growing at 10% a year, I'm not sure what the average is for, for cities, and also continue encouraging use of the health clinic, because that, supposedly takes off our premiums. And then I'm glad to see the 3% raise for the general fund, the employees. But I mean, calling that a raise is borderline insulting. That's the cost of living. So I would hope that, if we can find a little bit more to be able to do that, but at least we're doing something as opposed to nothing.
Again, it's just a placeholder. It may,
Exactly.
It could be something different you see in the next month and a half.
And then last question, and I promise it is the last one. With when we had the auditor here, she talked about how next year we have to report like the liabilities with the pension. I'm not too familiar with how all that works with the pension, but the state was going to require like full reporting of the liabilities.
She was talking about OPEB. There's a new government accounting standard that comes out that's going to be implemented next year for OPEB, other post-employment benefits other than the police and fire. It's something, it wouldn't be reported in the general fund. I don't want to get into too much detail, but it's in what we call our entity-wide statements, where they convert our government statements into more business type like, but it won't be a liability in our general fund if that's a concern of yours.
So that's more, because it kind of startled me when she went over it. That's more, and when I've done whatever research I've done on it, that's more just on paper, not actually affecting.
Well, there is statements in our audit book. There are new statements that were brought out about 5-6 years ago called entity-wide ones, where they combine all the enterprise to give it more of a, for when creditors look at it, combining it into more of the business type. But it won't be a liability in the general fund. And when she left that night, I went out and confirmed that with her, and she goes, "Yeah, right. You're right. It's not in the general fund. You won't see anything."
That kind of startled me when I thought about that. That would severely hurt us.
Yeah.
So okay, thank you.
First thing is that I appreciate you bringing this forward. The next thing is for everyone is that 3/5 is a figure too. It's not one that's locked in. None of these estimates, 5%, 10%, are all estimates. We hope that they are very conservative and they go down, which could mean that the monies that we need to balance the budget goes down. So,
Right.
But it's a preliminary thought as to where we're at. It's trying to foresee some things that really nobody knows until we get the actual figures. So I think you've done a good job so far. I like the summary already, just the first glance that I have at it, because it takes out some of the things and make it easily readable. So I just want to tell you I appreciate what we have so far, and this is always a point where when we're talking about budgeting, we're talking about providing services, we're talking about trying to reduce the tax burden. It becomes very complicated, and it's trying to meet the needs of everyone, and that's one of trying to have enough money to provide services but be fiscally responsible too. So I just want to thank you for your first efforts at trying to produce something for us.
Thank you.
Any public comments on this item? Thanks again, Nero. We now will go to our consent agenda, and that's minutes April 21st, regular session, May 5th, regular session, May 19th, regular session, and we have attorney fees from Thompson, Sizemore, Gonzalez, and Hearing LLP invoice number 79872 and number 79940. The next is 10, authorized execution of renewal of joint use agreement with the school board of Pinellas County. 11 award file number 150116-N-RS, single source purchase of used mobile office buildings. Any item anyone need further information on?
Number 11.
Tarpon? You want to talk about it?
Yeah, if we could. Just a quick question on that. Mark, I see that we're buying these, I guess, mobile office trailers, I guess. Was there any thought given to potentially like leasing or renting something like this in the interim of having a better facility for office space?
Bob Robertson, Public Services Program Manager. Commissioner, I think what we're trying to do here is take advantage of, these are the construction trailers that are already on site at the RO plant. And we have an opportunity because we're getting almost half off. And the purchase price of new ones would be more than double, plus that's just the purchase price. You have to pay for the installation and delivery, freight, and all these. We looked at buying new, we looked at leasing new. We feel like this is our better advantage. We can probably get a good 6 to 8 years out of these, and looking at that payback period, it made more sense to do this purchase now. Something maybe we'll look at as these need to be replaced, but
And that's,
we have a need for office space out there now.
The owner of them currently is Wharton?
Yeah, Wharton Smith is leasing them from Acton, and then we're going to buy them directly from Acton.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor.
Commissioner Mathis.
Would these be equivalent to like a mobile home as far as construction and sturdiness? Like a mobile home somebody would live in?
Well, if you, these are mobile office spaces, but they are all, for all intents and purposes, mobile homes.
Is there plans to build permanent office space out there? I would assume something down the road.
At this time, no, because the place that they're going to occupy is the location we have set aside for the future ground storage tank for the RO plant. So we didn't want to dedicate that space yet to a new permanent facility until we were sure whether or not we needed the extra storage. That's something we have for long-term planning. I wouldn't want to knock a building down and put a water storage tank back up there. So for now, the temporary units is probably, I think, our best option.
Well, I would hope that they're very temporary, because I don't think anyone needs a lecture on why long-term, mobile home type office things is not, especially for a city. I would just support any effort as soon as we have the funds to move towards a more permanent structure on site.
Thank you, and I agree with you on that. That's something I look forward to doing. I think what we want to really do is just make sure that we don't need that extra water storage at the time in that planning horizon. I just haven't looked at that right now, and this is just taking advantage of the opportunity that we have to.
And if we do need it, we'd probably have to relook when we build. If we built an actual building, it would probably be when we decide how the tank's going to be laid out, the moving of a location would be different. So.
Yeah, there may be some ways that we can redo a site plan. Just none of that work has been done yet.
I understand.
Any public comments on this item? Chair would entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Archie?
Yes. Ordinance and resolution item number 12, ordinance 2015-13, adoption of 2014 Florida Building Code, first reading.
Ordinance 2015-13, an ordinance of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, amending Chapter 6 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs by amending Section 6-1 to adopt the 2014 Florida Building Code -building, the 2014 Florida Building Code -residential, the 2014 Florida Building Code -existing building, the 2014 Florida Building Code -energy conservation, the 2014 Florida Building Code -accessibility, the 2014 Florida Building Code -plumbing, the 2014 Florida Building Code -mechanical, the 2014 Florida Building Code -fuel gas, the 2014 Florida Building Code -5th edition -test protocols for high-velocity hurricane zones, the National Electrical Code, open paren, NFPA 70, close paren, 2011 edition, by amending the 2010 Florida Building Code, Chapter 1, Administration, providing for severability and providing for an effective date. This has been a reading of Ordinance 2015-13 by title only, first reading.
Ms. Mel.
Good evening. Heather Earler, Principal Planner for the Planning Department. However, I'm here to represent the Building Department because they couldn't be here. Basically, this is statutorily required. The Florida Building Code is going to be updated, as of June 30th, 2015, and we need to keep abreast of that by statute. So this is our statutory obligation to update this, and this is the first reading. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them. If I can't, we'll take that information and get that information back to you at the next reading.
Any questions? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any public comments on this item? Roll call?
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Archie?
Yes. Item number 13 is Resolution 2015-22, fiscal year 2015 budget resolution. Mr. Aaron.
Good evening, Ron Herring, Finance Director. What we're trying to do here is there's some stuff usually that's approved during the year that needs to be, the item needs to be put into the budget. A lot of times this isn't done. Most of the times you probably see the budget resolutions at the end of the year or at the very beginning of the year, but I'd like to, what I'm trying to do here is a mid-year one. So what we're trying to do is a lot of stuff that's on here is items that have been BOC approved up through right now, and we just want to get the items dollar amount into the budget.
Any questions for Mr. Aaron? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any public comments on this item? Roll call?
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Archie?
Yes. Thank you, sir. Item number 14, resolution 2015-23, application 1533, conditional use for-sale PSRX special restaurant license for 40737 US 19 North. This is quasi-judicial.
I guess you've done the reading of the title. I'll explain the quasi-judicial process. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding where the commission acts in a quasi-judicial rather than a legislative capacity. At a quasi-judicial hearing, it is not the commission's function to make law, but rather to apply law that has already been established. In a quasi-judicial hearing, the commission is required by law to make findings of fact based upon the evidence presented at the hearing and apply those findings of fact to previously established criteria contained in the Code of Ordinances in order to make a legal decision regarding the application before it. The Commission may only consider evidence at this hearing that the law considers competent, substantial, and relevant to the issues. If the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has met the criteria established in the Code of Ordinances, then the Commission is required by law to find in favor of the applicant. By the same token, if the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has failed to meet the criteria established in the Code of Ordinances, then the Commission is required by law to find against the applicant. There is an established procedure which will be followed at this quasi-judicial hearing. All witnesses must give their testimony under oath. All persons testifying at this hearing must give their name and address for the record. All testimony and questioning at this hearing must address matters that are relevant and material to the issues under consideration. The city staff will present its testimony and evidence first. The applicant will then have an opportunity to cross-examine city staff. The applicant will then present its testimony and witnesses. The city staff will have an opportunity to cross and examine those witnesses. Members of the public opposing the application will then be given an opportunity to present testimony. After all members of the public speaking in opposition to the application have concluded, members of the public in support of the application will have an opportunity to present testimony. Each member of the public is limited to 4 minutes of testimony. The applicant will then have an opportunity to make a closing argument or summary, after which city staff will be given an opportunity to make a closing argument or summary. Following this, the commission will consider the matter. Commissioners may ask questions of witnesses at this point in the proceeding. A motion will be made and a vote will be taken.
Again, Heather Erler, Principal Planner for the Planning Department. And the request is for a conditional use for a Series 4 COP SRX alcoholic beverage license, which allows for the serving of beer, wine, and liquor in a future restaurant. The request meets all of the Land Development Code standards. Staff and the Zoning Board are recommending approval of Resolution 1523, Application 1533, with one condition. That one condition is that the rear entrance of the establishment shall not be used as a customer entrance. It's only to be used as an employee entrance. And with that, I can entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions? Thank you.
The applicant could come come forward.
The applicant here?
The applicant present?
Not.
All right, failing the presence of the applicant, is there any member of the public opposing the application? Seeing none, the applicant would ordinarily have an opportunity to make a closing statement. Failing that, the matter now turns to the commission to consider.
If there are no questions, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes?
Mayor Archie?
Yes. That will go to item number 15, Resolution 2015-24, Application 1542, Conditional Use for Religious Assembly for 751 Pinellas Avenue.
This is resolution number 2015-24, resolution of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, approving application number 15-42, requesting a conditional use to allow religious assembly use for property located at 751 Pinellas Avenue in the SDA South Gateway Special District Zoning District, providing for findings, providing for conditions, and providing for an effective date. This too is a quasi-judicial procedure subject to the same procedures set forth a moment ago. With that, the staff may present its presentation.
Again, Heather Erler for Principal Planner for the Planning Department. And this request, again, meets all of the standards in the Land Development Code and as well as in the Special Area Plan. The staff and the Planning Board are recommending approval of Resolution 15-24, Application 1542, with one condition. That one condition is the maximum occupancy of the assembly area shall be limited to 80 persons. And with that, I can answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Tarpon?
Thank you. The restriction for 80 seats, is that right?
80 persons, but yeah,
Right.
it'll be fixed seating, so yes.
Is that something that was recommended by the fire marshal?
That is something that was actually negotiated between the applicant based on what his plans were for the growth of that church, being that the plaza itself, again, is going through changing. So because of that, it restricts the parking. The parking would restrict this use. It's not actually for the occupancy load of the building. It's really just our restriction for the number of persons who can actually attend service based on his plan for the next few years.
Thank you.
At this point, the applicant has an opportunity to make its presentation. Is the applicant present? Please state your name and address once you get to the dais.
Good evening. My name is Ed Lawson. I reside at 1104 Northridge Drive in Palm Harbor. I'm the general contractor that has applied for a permit that has brought this conditional use request into effect. And this is my son, Jason, who is the pastor of the work that started. We'd like to be a part of this community. I did want to clarify, the one remark was made, it will not be fixed seating. Per the building code, we can occupy 175 people. However, we feel that that would be very uncomfortable, and once we reach 80 members, we would need to expand or look for other facilities. So we did negotiate and are very comfortable with only 80 occupants. We feel like past that it would be a little uncomfortable. So we've made that presentation, and we would be happy to be a part of that, and are asking for your approval so we can do a good work here and be good citizens and part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does city staff have any cross-examination for the applicant?
No, not at this time.
At this time, are there any members of the public opposing the application that wish to speak? Seeing none, are there any members of the public wishing to speak in support of this application? Seeing none, the applicant has an opportunity to make a closing statement, if you so wish. Okay, the applicant has waived the right to make a closing statement or summary. At this point, the commission may consider the matter, and the commissioners may ask questions at this point as well.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Archie?
Yes. Thank you. Good luck. We'll go to miscellaneous items. That's item number 16, appointment to Code Enforcement Board. And it says, must select option 1 or 2, then appoint, select one. If one is selected, then the unexpired term of the alternate would need to be filled as well. So normally, we can either move alternate 1 or 2 to the expired term of Mark Sansota, and that's Mr. Alan Plunkett is alternate number 1, Ms. Andy Dabbs is alternate number 2, and moving one of those up to the regular board members. So we can start, on either end, Vice Mayor Lawson.
I don't know, are you looking for a motion at this time?
Well, I don't know, we'll see. Usually, the normal procedure is everybody get to select one, but if everybody's kind of on one accord, then we want to.
Well, my preference would be to go with option 1 and to move Alan Plunkett, alternate number 1, into the unexpired term of Mark Sansota.
Did anybody have any problems with that?
I would agree.
Clarification, did you say, Vice Mayor, that you'd move Alan Plunkett to the regular member, and then did you include Mrs. Dabbs to make her alternate number 1?
I didn't even address that at this point. I simply, and I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
That's fine. I was only addressing moving Alan Plunkett, alternate number 1, into the regular position. But I can amend the motion and include
Which way you
moving
want?
Annie Dabbs
What you want?
from alternate 2 to alternate number 1, if that's.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're moving the alternates up, it seems like, especially based on Mr.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
number's
the-
not-
in this case, the alternates 1 and 2 aren't a difference. That's why we put the date they were appointed.
Okay.
It's not, alternate 1 you think would be the,
So let's not even worry about,
Yeah,
so let's just, my motion would be to move Alan Plunkett from alternate number 1 to, excuse me, fill the unexpired term of Mark Sansota.
I'll second your motion.
Any public comments on that? Roll call?
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Archie?
Yes. Now,
We have to fill the alternate position.
okay, we have to fill alternate number 1 position?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, let me
I
start.
I don't know, well, I guess we select one,
Anyone from the list?
look like, Mr. Cordner has been in there, a while. I'll go first, I'll say Mr. Cordner, so. I think that's Cordner. I can go this way,
Manny Rodriguez, Chair.
Manny Rodriguez.
I don't know any of these individuals personally, but just a brief read of their background, I'd go with Thomas Smith.
Thomas Smith, that's where we go, we just get it out. Mr. Tarpon.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know any of the applicants personally either, but I would go with Mr. Smith only because he's the second in line for the first choice as code enforcement.
Okay. Commissioner Sieber.
I would go with Mr. Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez.
We do have a tie between Mr. Smith and Mr. Rodriguez.
Okay. Well, we got 2. I'll start at this side. Then y'all see what.
So only out of those 2 now?
I think you're the target.
Yeah, I know it. I'm just trying to figure out which one, because since they wasn't on my first one, I didn't even go to my second one there, so let me just look at them briefly while y'all tell me, I guess, the same thing that we already have. If you want to, Commissioner Sieber, what's your selection now? See, one of y'all might change.
I had selected Manny Rodriguez.
Mr. Smith?
I guess I'll go with Manny Rodriguez.
Manny Rodriguez.
Well, Mr. Smith, not sure it matters now.
So, well,
We just need the motion for Mr. Rodriguez.
so
to
can we get a motion?
I would motion for Manny Rodriguez to replace alternate number 1.
Second.
Roll call. Any public comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther,
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Archie?
Yes. I think this next one might be even harder. We have to fill the Board of Adjustment and Appeals. Mr. King has reached the maximum years of service. Move alternate to fill position left. And the current alternate is Chris Alahousas. Commissioner, Vice Mayor Lawson.
I would move to move our current alternate, Chris Alahousas, to fill the vacancy left by Matt King.
Is there any
Second.
second?
Second.
All right. Seems like that's consensus. So, any public comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Archie?
Yes. Now we have to select one of the names to move up. Since I guess everybody would look at Michael Eisner.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any public comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrapini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Archie?
Yes. I believe that concludes our agenda. Chief,
No comments, Mayor.
Attorney,
No comments, Mayor. Thank you.
City Manager.
Since he's sitting in the audience, being here, I want to thank Fire Chief Butcher. He's secured all the permits needed and the arrangements for Howard Park to be used for our fireworks display again. So he took care of that with the county and got that all set. So we'll be having again the picnic in the daytime from 10 to 2, and we will be having our Independence Day fireworks celebration from Howard Park as in past years. So you stayed, so I give you thank you for staying and getting all those permits and set, and people can start making their plans to attend those two things on our Independence Day. And you'll keep the weather away, Townsend. He's in charge of the weather. And
I always do.
Okay.
Madam Clerk,
No comments.
Commissioner Banther.
Yes, I will miss the next meeting as the memo because my daughter's 5th birthday. My wife insists on having it on the actual birthday, so it's a frozen party, so I have to be in attendance. So I will see you all in July. Well, the next we have a workshop, so I'll see you at the workshop.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor.
I have no comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Tarpani.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate all of the graduates last night at Tarpon High and congratulate them and also wish them great success in their next endeavors in their new chapter of their life.
Commissioner Seaver.
No comments.
And I too want to congratulate all of those that had the opportunity to graduate from the great Tarpon Spring High and be a sponger for life. And the parents and all of the loved ones have been very supportive. And on another note, I just read this. It's, we talked about the passing of our former attorney, John Hubbard. And this just says that, you know, there'll be a celebration of life for John Hubbard at Dunedin Fine Arts on Saturday, June 13th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. by his wife, Barbara Hubbard, and family. And those that knew John that would like to attend, I think that the family would appreciate that. So I just let those that might not know what the arrangements are, you know. So with that, we will adjourn this meeting at 8:02.
That's what I thought. I was dick beforehand.
Yeah, yeah.
That was about an hour and a half.
I was thinking 2 hours.
It easily could have gone 2. Easily could have gone 2.
Not saying, I didn't see it.
Those presentations are always hard.
That's
They were
ordinance,
concise.
though.
Yes, they were good. They were concise.
Yeah, I forwarded it to you. Did I get it today?
Usually what you're lining.
Every time
You're still at, okay, yeah, I forwarded it to you. It's still the same. Okay, great, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm like, it gets up to 1 o'clock. I'm at that.
Oh, that's
Yeah. I get it.
Birds and cattle.
It's just the first reading, so you have enough.
I didn't know if I was going to make it.
Where was this? Drop that up there for Trish whenever she get back.
Commissioner, do you have a quick second?
Yes, I
do.
That's Trish's on there. I read. That goes to Trish. Okay. Hey,
It's still light out.
are you working out now? Oh.
No, the back issue since this accident has not gone away yet, so I'm back to like square one. This has been a year of healing for me.
Well, that's
Accidents.
a good thing. Accidents are bad, but healing is good.
This whole year has been a year of healing. Messed up in our back.
When did y'all have an accident?
My right shoulder now, I got rear-ended. 50 miles an hour.
See you, Chris.
Day before our last commission meeting, I came in here a little dazed. So, yeah.
I tell you.
It's been one after another.
That's why they hung around. It's the police department's fault. They should be monitoring the traffic.
Yeah, the speed limit's done there, it should be better monitored.
They wouldn't have the accidents.
Obviously, that woman was
Wait, let me see how the crowd starts.
Okay.
We're in your colors tonight. Ready for tomorrow.
We pay with second dollar funding, it's taken money. Excellent. Last year,
No, all you country men. I had Garth tickets too. I was very happy.
I'm happy to give
I was very happy to give up my Garth tickets.
I'm happy to give, I'm glad. Listen, I'm in a good place.
I liked all those guys who's online saying, we don't care, our concert tickets on Friday. I thought, Garth booked series. If he loses 2 of the concerts, he's not coming for Friday night, guys. Wait, and of course, that's much.
But it had more to do with all the technical stuff.
Oh, yeah, because, NBC has got